Let's start by getting a definition of what factoring is. And factoring in the situation that we're doing is reversing the distributive property. So let's first review. If I had 2 times x plus 1, and I distribute this, this means 2 times x plus 2 times 1. So what I've done is I've taken the outside number and I multiplied both of the terms inside by that number. And what that did is it made the 2 become a common factor between the two. A factor times a factor equals a product. So 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 1 is 2. Well, factoring is to take this part that I have here and remove that greatest common factor out to separate them back. So doing the distributive property gives us this, and if we factor, the answer would give us back that. So let's take a look at a few examples, and I think you'll understand it. So now let's suppose that we have 8x plus 20. Normally, using the ladder method, I would put the 8 and the 20 inside the ladder. And then I would ask, what's the smallest prime number that would go into both of these? And that's a 2. And then once I do 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 20 divided by 2 is 10. Just as the distributive property is multiplication, the factoring is division. So now what I'm going to do is I can take out another 2. So when I do that, the 2 comes outside. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. There's a video linked at the end of this one on how to use the ladder method to find the GCF and the LCM. In this case, we're going to use it just for the GCF. So what I've done here, doing the ladder method for the 8 and the 20, in order for factoring to take place, I can actually just put the x here and the plus, and what I have inside is exactly this expression. And then as I'm coming down, it keeps simplifying till finally what I have is this piece here, and these are 2 prime numbers, so I can no longer factor anything out of that. And what I've removed is the GCF, which is 2 times 2, and that gives me a 4. This here is actually the answer, so that is completely factored. And to check to see if I've done it correctly, all I have to do is the distributive property. So I do 4 times 2x, well, that's 8x, and 4 times 5, that's 20. So I've done it, and it checks out. Let's try a couple more examples. So in this example, I have 10x plus 30, and I want to factor out the greatest common factor. So taking that GCF out, I can take it out in pieces. The first thing I notice is that a 2 goes into both of these. I can look for a bigger factor, but if you want to do it in smaller pieces, you still get the same answer. So I'm going to take out a 2 because they're both even numbers. So 10x divided by 2 is 5x. I bring down the plus, and then 30 divided by 2 is 15. I'm not done because when I look at this, I can see that I can still take out a 5 out of both of these. So I put the 5 over here, and now I'm going to divide. So I have 5x divided by 5 is 1x. Bring down the plus, and then 15 divided by 5 is 3. Well, 3 is a prime number. This is a unit number. I can't take anything else out. So what I have over here, which is 2 times 5, that's the GCF that's been removed from this expression, and I have a 10 here. Now, if you recall, in order to tell if I've done this right, if I do the distributive property, I have 10 times 1x is 10x, and I have 10 times 3 is 30. So it checks out. We'll do one more example. So here we have 14x plus 28, and when I do this, I'm using prime numbers. So if I list the prime numbers over here, these are the prime numbers between 0 and 20. I start with 2. 2 works with both of them. So I can take out a 2, and when I divide, I'm going to have 14x divided by 2 is 7x. And then I have 28 divided by 2 is 14. I'm not done because if you look at this, 2 doesn't work anymore, 3 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work. 7's a prime number, but 7's on my list here, so I can take out a 7 from both of these. So I put a 7 over here. 7x divided by 7 is 1x, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. Well, this is a prime number. That's a unit number, so we're done. So my GCF is over here. It's these two numbers multiplied by each other, so I have a 14. Now we're going to check to see, and I do the distributive property, so 14 times 1x is 14x, and 14 times 2 is 28. So this checks out, and this answer is correct.